All right, Madonna. I hear ya. I'm about to take a holiday. Something out here. Good morning. Good morning, Scott. Good morning, Kim. Good morning, Kay. About 35 people on. We're going to give them another minute or two. Let Madonna play out. Then I'm going to be sharing some information with you. What year was this? 1980 something. 1980 something, 1990 something. Got a crazy Madonna story, but not for live. 36. That's a good number. Get some pad, get a pad and a pencil. He's going to be taking some notes. I want somebody to call it 1984. Yeah. That was a good year. We're going to be taking some notes. Okay, we're going to be publishing this later, sometime next week, as its own NTU update. But some of you might want to, take down some information, because that's just the way some of us are. All right, Madonna, thank you. Thank you for going out of your way to entertain us here at the NTU. Okay. We got 49, 50. Okay. Some recommendations are happening here. You see how that works. Okay. I just added someone on camera. I don't know how many people I'm going to be able to add on camera. We're up to 53. Yudi. Good morning, Michelle, 59. Okay, I love the 80s too. The 80s and the 90s. I love now. Every decade is its own blast. The 70s, but they were okay. Good morning, Sheila. All right, so everyone's got their pen, their paper. I'm going to take some notes, even though we are going to be, publishing this and as its own separate NTU COVID update, probably sometime next week. Let me preface this by saying that everything starts and ends with if it's safe to do so. Okay, so interject that at the beginning and at the end of every comment that I make and every report that I give you based on the meetings that we had as early yesterday, 2 o'clock with the district's reopening committee, which is some teachers on there, the NTU obviously, custodians, administrators, basically everyone involved in running a building is at that meeting. We're way ahead of the curve in terms of those types of meetings. The governor, you're going to hear the governor's going to make an announcement today. He's still, right now, as of this moment, still up in the air as to what he's going to say. He may postpone the opening. He may give districts an option. If you're a district like Newark, that we've had a district-wide reopening committee. We've had one since March, the end of March. We started thinking about, well, at some point we're going to go back. Whether it would be the end of March, we would come back, April, May, June. At some point, we're going to come back. So we started sitting down early with the district, and we put together our own committee. So we're ahead of the curve when it comes to that. I hope you got your pads and your pencils. I saw Madonna in the Funhouse in the early 80s. You go. I worked at a restaurant in Manhattan with a bartender who was taken advantage of by Madonna. Okay? She crashed at his place down in St. Mark's Place for over a week. Didn't pay her roommate's rent. What did she leave him though? On top of the refrigerator? An original demo that she made with Jelly Bean Benitez, which is worth several $100,000 now. Okay, let's get back to business. Based on, we will be holding task force meetings weekly. The governor has said schools must be ready to open physically in some capacity in September. He's getting a lot of pressure to delay opening from less prepared districts. We're the only district in the state that even had a pilot program, as small as it was, because pilots are supposed to be small, to test data at First Avenue and 13th Avenue. How long does it take to process the ingress of a child? A minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes? Well, we found out all that data, and we'll be sharing it with you. Still a lot of work to do. We want to get feedback and keep the task force in the loop. Down south, a lot of districts are opening soon, and this is creating hysteria in Newark. We need to calm down and be patient. We have time. We would never compromise the safety of staff and students. Okay, you know that in the Newark Teachers Union, there's no distinguishing between students and staff, especially the teachers. Write these down. Start dates. August 3rd, principals return. August 12th, vice principals and department chairs. September 1st, teachers and instructional staff will be coming back. September 8th, students. Remember, August 3rd, principals, the 12th, VPs, etc. September 1st, teachers and other instructional staff. September 8th, students. All staff must be able to produce negative tests taken within 2 weeks of their return date before they will be allowed to enter buildings. Walgreens, where can you get same-day testing? You say, oh my God, oh my goodness, I don't get back from my vacation until August 29th. Okay, Walgreens on Broad and South Street, you have to pre-register on their app, and they give you same-day results. And the FQHC, the Federally Qualified Health Center at 394 University Avenue, same situation. Call or go on their app to pre-register, and you can get same-day test results. You're going to need a letter that says, John tested negative on August 23rd. Not that John was tested. We don't care that you were tested. We found that out at First Avenue. We don't care that you've been tested. We want to know what your result was. So get it together. I don't know what your schedules are for the summer or for August, but it has to be registered negative within 2 weeks of your return date. We're probably going to be testing every 2 weeks thereafter, depending on the numbers, depending on Fauci. We're strong believers of Fauci and science. Pick up those pens again. There are 3 groups of students and staff to consider. Who's going to be coming back? I know this is the number one question. There are 3 groups of students and staff to consider. Group 1 was identified by the district as not safe to return to school. Includes medically fragile, immune compromised, people currently out on other FMLAs, the 6,000 students who need to take the bus every day. They tested the bus situation. If you're a kid that lives across town from a school in this district, it could take you up to an hour. By the time he picks up the other 10 kids, it's craziness. All of that group is going to be virtual. Okay, that's group 1. Group 2, self-identified as not able or willing to return to work. That's our more veteran members, our members who have already been identified as having some type of immune deficiency, hepatitis 1, hepatitis 2, or B, C, severe asthma. There's a couple, there's going to be information distributed by the district to the staff, and you'll be able to identify as such. If you're taking care of someone at home, you have an elderly parent who's at high risk. If you are a parent slash teacher, you teach in Newark, but your kid's in Nutley, your kid's on some AB thing, and you're in Newark on an alternating thing, how is that going to be worked out? Until it's worked out, guess what? You're staying home monitoring those two kids. That's group 2. And group 3, those that are able and willing to return to work. Group 1, identified by the district. Group 2, self-identified. And 3, they're cool, they're young, they got nobody at home. They want to get the hell out of the house because they're going nuts. Trust me, there's a lot of people, I get a lot of calls from people like that. When can I go back? I'll wear a hazmat suit, but I got to get the hell out of this apartment. God bless them. Pick up the pens. July 13th through the 25th, district will be calling parents in group 1 and letting them know. Be prepared. You're staying home with your child till further notice. August 7th, welcome back letters. August 17th through the 28th, the distribution of learning at home plan for groups 1 and 2. September 1st through the 7th, the Give Me 5 campaign. Once again, with the attendance thing, especially the virtual attendance thing, we've let the district know that we got enough on our plate as parents, teachers, etc. We got no time to be chasing down parents. We'll give them a respectful notice and a respectful follow-through, but we're not going to be 24/7 trying to hunt down a parent. Scheduling options. Daily. Some students attend school every day in person or virtually. AB. Students alternate attendance physically and virtually every other day, or a combination of schools. So you're going to have the daily, same students attend school every day. We're juggling whether or not they're going to be going from one classroom to another. It looks like they're going to be staying in one classroom, and the teachers will switch. We'd rather have 2 people moving down a hallway than 20 kids, 10 moving in one direction, 10 moving in another. So that'll be the scheduling options. Daily, some students attend school every day, in person or virtually. And we've begun piloting at First Avenue and 13th Avenue, having a small number of kids in front of you, 10 students in front of you, 10 or less, and another 10 virtual. So that's a total of possibly up to 20 students receiving instruction from one teacher. We want to find out how that's working out. Monitoring the 10 kids in front of you, their homework, et cetera, and then having to monitor an additional 10 that are Zoomed in or WebExed in. We're going to be talking to those teachers soon. They just started this Monday, so we want to find out what's the deal. And we're not going to be asking anybody but the teachers. There's a combination of schools is most likely. Other options would require superintendent approval. You know, all the schools are different. And so in that sense, there's going to be a little bit of craziness, but you know, it'll all get ironed out. The superintendent will send letters now telling parents and staff that more info will be coming in August 7th. At the pilot schools, 100% of students wearing masks, no pushback from the students or their parents. The masks, everyone has to supply their own masks. Everyone has to bring their own water. I haven't seen any problem at either at 13th Avenue or at First Avenue. Most parents are on top of this. They're aware that no mask, no entrance. End of story. No. Oh, by the way, parents are not allowed in the building either. No parents are allowed in the building. Everything is delivered to the building as though it was Grubhub. Toiletries, napkins, whatever that has to go to the custodians, that's delivered outside the service area. It's dropped off. Custodians are informed. Custodians go and they pick it up and bring it into the building. No extraneous personnel allowed inside the building. Same thing with cafeteria. Hot dogs and buns are being delivered. They're dropped at the security door. The guy leaves. Someone from the cafeteria is sent to pick up the hot dogs and the buns. Outside of district plan, there will be a lot of flexibility at school level for their individual needs. It will be our job to make sure each school's strategies work. State requires each school have their own pandemic response room. We've already asked our child study teams to look inside their buildings and say, well, if we have to do testing, where in our building would we use it if their office is too small? Everyone's in a different situation. We're not going to presume to know what's best for Branch Brook or what's best for 13th Avenue. The teachers there, the child study teams there, will identify what works best and what's safest in their environment. As long as we get the product, as long as we deliver the test results, how it gets done, the district's really not going to care. We believe in science here, and that will guide our work. We will treat all schools like hotspots. Superintendent has been meeting with charters, with archdiocese and early childhood centers to see what's going on there. Google Classroom and WebEx will be the primary online platforms. We confirmed that yesterday. There was some concern that, well, I'm doing all of this, Google Classroom workshop and these WebEx workshops, and then the district is going to decide on the September 1st that they're going to do, a completely different program. Well, as far as we know right now, that's not going to happen. Cisco is offering free training for teachers as well, and they will be expanding on Otis training. Planning for about 1/3 of students, if that, to physically be in the schools. Lunch and breakfast will be served in the classroom. Working on capacity for student testing. PowerPoint was reviewed and entered with entering and school cleaning procedures. I'm going to go over those PowerPoints with you now. Next week, we're going to be sending you the entire PowerPoint so that you'll have it, but I'm going to be referencing it here now. For those of you that are just popping in, everything that's being said here is being recorded, but we're also going to send it as part of a NTU COVID update. So you're going to be getting all of this information. Some of you are writing it down. That's great. I'm going to get to all these questions, as many as I can, within the next 5 minutes, and we'll spend 30 minutes asking and answering those questions. There will be no staff going from school to school. At the very least, at the very beginning, that's going to be minimalized to 0. We want to get everyone settled at the location before we venture to say, is it okay for this person to go visit that building, etc. Screening of students is taking 1.5 minutes to 3 minutes per student. There will be flexibility in terms of instructional staff start times because of the entry process. At summer school, instruction is typically starting at around 9 a.m. By 9 a.m., they got together, and I go there in the mornings or in the afternoons to check it out. How long is it taking people to get inside of 1st and 13th Avenue? How long is it taking them to leave? How are the kids feeling? How are the staff feeling? They're feeling pretty copacetic at the moment. If staff does not have valid COVID testing results, they will be put on a no-pay status for the period of time it takes to get the test results in. District must give plenty of notice to staff. So you've already done that. For those of you just chiming in, I'm just going to do these 2 repeats of what was said earlier, and then I'll show you the printouts so that you get like visual, for the visual learners out there. Start dates: August 3rd, principals; August 12th, VPs, department chairs, etc. September 1st, teachers and instructional staff. September 8th, students return. There are 3 groups of students and staff that will be considered. Group 1 is identified by the district as not safe to return. That includes medically fragile, immune compromised, etc. Group 2, self-identified as not able, willing to return to work, as those students or teachers who have someone at home that they're taking care of, have any of those immune compromise, and group 3 are those that are able and willing to return to work. Okay? Let's take a look at some of these PowerPoints for the visual learners before we move on to questions. The staff-oriented, the ingress procedure. All of these will be emailed to you guys. All people at the sites, the location is contactless summer school site. This will be all sites come September, if we go back. Depends on what the governor has to say today. All pickups and drop-offs will occur outside. Only staff assigned to the location will be permitted in, barring any emergencies. Of course, 911, fire department. Parents should ensure that anyone escorting their child to school is wearing a mask when picking up or dropping off their children. Students should all have on masks when being dropped off at school. A tent will be set up outside to receive students prior to entering the building. There will be 3 stations to monitor the process, the lines to stand before you enter the tent where all screenings will take place, and the escorting of children into the building. Now remember, they take your temperature, they ask you a couple of questions, they give you a good look up and down, you gotta wash your hands, you gotta walk through this little pail of, it's like a little tiny pail, maybe an 1/8 of an inch of disinfecting fluid. So no open-toed shoes, no really nice Armani sandals, because you're gonna get them wet. The symptom screening, the temperature check, footwear sanitizing, hand washing, all 4 of those things are done by every single person that goes through those doors. Everything in the building, there's signs, there's road maps on the floor with arrows, just like a lot of supermarkets are doing lately. Stay in your lane. If you're in motion, wear a mask. If you're in your room by yourself, the kids haven't come in yet, your door's closed, you're cool, you can take off your mask. Your kids are all seated at their station. Let's say you got 7 kids. The 7 kids are all sitting down at their desk with their little plexiglass dividers. And you're at the front of the room, which is more than 6 feet away. You can take down the mask for a couple of minutes, breathe. You know, you're not going to pass out. You don't want anyone. I have yet to see anyone passing out. I have millions of people every day. I have yet to see a single person passed out. Say, oh my God, my mask. I passed out because of my mask. I haven't seen it. I don't know. CDC, the New Jersey Department of Health, guidance for school companies. Drinking fountains are being turned off. Staff and students should bring their own. Cleaning, sanitizing checklists will be completed by the personnel responsible for the cleaning. We will close off areas used by a sick person and not used before cleaning and disinfecting. Increased frequency of cleaning all services. This is going to be done every day in every building. I thought they were going to do it on like some kind of alternating basis, but facilities and maintenance said, nope, they're going to do it every day. You've all seen these. For the temperature checks, it's going to be going on a lot. This is what these biometric disinfectant guys look like. It's a backpack on the back of the custodians that they go in and they spray everything in the room. You see that? It looks like something from a 1980s sci-fi comedy. Every classroom will be supplied with cleaning kit to help you keep your classroom tidy and sanitary during the school day. Okay. Also, the students are each going to have a little kit for their manipulatives. They can't share manipulatives. So until science says that it's okay to do so, you know, Johnny's going to have his little manipulative cubby. Sally, Tamika, Jordan. And in the event of a COVID positive individual is identified through testing, we will deploy air purifiers with HEPA filtration as well as hydroxyl air process to specifically treat their room. So we found out that someone slipped through the cracks, that room is going to get double bombed. Okay, once again, everything that I've said here, we have to preface with if it's safe to do so. So everything begins and ends with if it's safe. I don't want to have to say that a million times. Let's get to some of these questions. It's too hot in the classroom. We have a mask on all day. Pull it down. Once you're in a safe spot, once you're in a safe area, and you feel fine, and there's no one around you, pull it down. But the rule is going to be, if you're in motion, wear a mask. If you got to move from one side of the classroom to another, wear the mask. If you got to go from point A in the building to point B, if you're in motion, you definitely have to wear a mask. Remember, there's going to be lines in the corridors. There's going to be up stairwells, down stairwells. So you're not going to be really coming that much into contact with each other. What about quarantine if a student? Oh, that one went real quick. We agree. We agree. But where's the world where there aren't cracks? I haven't lived in one yet. There's a handful of diseases out there, Zika, etc. I have no cures for them. I don't sign any waiver going into the tuberculosis, especially in urban districts. It's all over the place. No ACs for some. They're getting portable ACs and installing them in certain classrooms now, especially those windowless classrooms. Please make sure the schools are clean. That's going to be your job. I'm not in your building. I'm not at your location. You are. You guys are going to have to speak up. If the third floor at Hawkins Street School is a wreck, bring it to someone's attention. Outside every classroom, there's going to be a checklist with the date and the time and the signature of the custodian that bombed that room, that disinfected that room. If you go back tomorrow morning and you see that, oh wow, July 23rd hasn't been checked, no one's been in that room, don't go in that room. You call the main office and say, excuse me, it's July 23rd or it's July 24th, no one was here last night. Please send someone up to clean this room. What happens if a staff or student becomes positive? You got to report it immediately. 24/7. As soon as you find out, first of all, you're not going back in that building, and you have to let that administrator know. District has done nothing about janitors every year. I hear you, but everybody's going to have to step up to their plate. Everyone's going to have to step up to their plate. We have video cameras in these buildings for a reason. Okay, so if Mr. James, for some reason or other, is out, they better find somebody to take his place, because we can go virtual in a heartbeat. When we had the glitch at First Avenue, it was shut down within 5 minutes. Within 10 minutes, I got a call. No one was allowed into that building until we got to the bottom of what was happening. Just teach on WebEx all day like summer school. You never know. Between now and September, that may be the case. So lunch is in the classroom. Lunch will be served and lunch will be in the classroom. Are we getting paid double? I don't. I gotta start reading from the bottom of the scroll because it's moving way too fast. No specials or prep periods. Oh, there's going to be prep periods. How they're going to work the specials, we don't know yet. Are we filling out FMLAs, or we are group 1 or group 2? It depends. We're going to see how the district is going to do that when they survey you. When will teachers eat? During your lunch period. No one has said that there ain't going to be no lunch period. When do teachers get to use the toilet? Same as they do now. Coordinated with adult staff or a classroom aide and work it out. Can we get the blood test, or is it nasal swab needed? They don't care how you got your results. Nasal swab, blood test, as long as that paperwork says negative, you're cool. Do we need to teach our in-person kids and the virtual kids how? That we're working on that now. I said earlier in the pop-up that we have people that are piloting live 50-50, live and virtual. We're going to see how that's working out. If it's working out, what's the number? What's the max? Maybe it's like 10 live, 5 virtual, 10 virtual. The teachers at 13th Avenue and First Avenue will be the ones letting us know. Shorter school days, don't know. If we fall into group 2 and are virtual, will we be teaching our assigned position or be reassigned? No one has spoken about anything about reassignment as of right now. I don't see a major reassignment thing happening, because whether the kids are live or whether the kids are virtual, they're still in the same grade. Our class is full day for now, yes. We can't have custodians do the regular scheduled cleaning and the disinfecting. Well, that's what God created night crews for. But you know, I got to tell you, if it was my classroom, all of my kids would be familiar with a little Barney song, clean up, everybody do their share. Because in addition to what the custodians are supposed to be doing, I want them to leave my classroom knowing that, you know, a little bit of cleanliness, mommy will be proud of you. What if kids don't opt out? I have 35 in each homeroom right now. What will happen? The district is going to be opting them out. The district will be identified. Group 1 is those students that are identified by the district as not safe to return. Teachers need to be tested before September. Yes. 14 days before your return date. Are students being tested as well? Yes. We're trying to work with the science community to find out at what age group should we start testing them. I yesterday promoted to the reopening committee that at the very least, high school age, all be tested, and 7th and 8th grade. Once a kid is independent enough to leave the house, I think that's maybe like 7th grade, and like go do some chores, go to the bodega for mommy, or go play in the playground or whatever. But once they're at the independent age, they need to be tested, because I don't know where they've been hanging out over the weekend. Our schools have not controlled bed bugs. How are we going to control this? Like I said, everyone has to be on top of their game. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of termination notices for some of these people. What happens if a student refuses to be tested? They go home, or they go virtual. By the time you get home, you can stop somewhere and get it. Truth. You wear your mask. Practice safe distancing. I haven't been within 10 foot of anybody that I don't know is negative. Can per diem aides be trained? Yes, there will be a lot of training, and a lot of webinars. My understanding is that right now, the district has sent out a series of instructional kits via email, and a lot of people haven't taken them, saying, oh, well, I don't know that it's mandatory or not. Pre-K, yeah. Pre-K is going to be the same thing. Pre-Ks will be opening. Can we send kids home who don't follow the rules about the masks? A kid without a mask won't even be allowed in the building. Are they making classrooms smaller for the 6? We know the classrooms are going to stay the same size. With so many testing sites in Newark, all children should be tested. Okay. My niece is 4. She was positive. How will teachers reconcile personal teaching and virtual at the same time? We're waiting to find out from the pilot programs at First Avenue and 13th Ave. Is all the information for all districts, or unfortunately, yeah, that's the craziness. Hospitals aren't run that way. All hospitals more or less do this. Every hospital fixes a broken arm the same way. Every CVS, every ShopRite is set up the same way. The magazines are in one place. The candy bars and the chewing gum is right underneath the counter over there. It doesn't matter where you go. Any country in the world, it's in the same place. It's only in the educational system where 600 school districts like we have in the state of New Jersey can come up with their own thing. That's what's driving the governor crazy. How often will teachers and students be tested? One test isn't good enough. Every 2 weeks is what the NTU has proposed. What about asymptomatic staff and students? Well, asymptomatic staff can be tested. Just because they're asymptomatic and they don't show any visual signs of it doesn't mean that we're not going to bust them through a blood test. Outdoor classrooms, yes, we're experimenting with that, weather permitting. What happens if a teacher's tests come back negative? Guess what? That teacher is quarantined, and under our contract, you're paid on paid leave of absence for quarantine. What about evaluations? We're working with the district's evaluation committee, but we have to see what's going on before we can see what it is that we're going to be evaluating. But we know that since most of us are going to be teaching at home, they're going to be doing a lot of evaluating. See, we had excuses the first couple of weeks in March because all of this was new to us. We weren't familiar with it. We hadn't been trained in a lot of these things. But since then, we've had a lot of time to become professionalized in these areas. We've been having workshops. So they're not going to accept the same excuses in September or October that we legitimately had back in March and April. So if the district doesn't opt out enough kids, they will be opting out more than enough kids. There will be no classroom with 35 kids in it. It violates the CDC guidelines. It's not going to happen. You mentioned testing everything. Would that be on site, or we have to take a day to go to the doctor? Or are they still working on this? It doesn't take a day to go to get a COVID test. You got COVID tests all over this state, especially in Newark. They're all over the place. So if the district doesn't opt out enough kids, okay. Virtual learning will be in school as classroom. It's possible. If you are self-identified, will you get paid? Yeah, if you can confirm it with a doctor. What are they doing? What are they going to do to the other children? How are they going to accommodate all the students? Virtual, the same way we've been accommodating them since March. Will the teacher be allowed to test during their workday? No. We're working. Oh, I see that my man Mike Malaro is replying to some of these. Thanks, Mikey, for picking up the slack. We're up to 187. What happens if a student or teacher tests positive? Shut down. I'm late, but will kids' parents want to go into the school? Where do you go?
Hello, good morning. You
good
just
morning.
connected me.
I just
How
connected you.
Yes.
How are you doing, Mrs. Pereira?
I'm good. How are
distance
you?
learning workshop presenter.
I'm good.
How are the workshops going?
They're going well. I mean, I think that teachers are enjoying the workshops. They're learning a lot, and I think that it's great that we get to engage with one another and really go back and forth and talk about what are some of our struggles and how we can really work together to help each other.
What has been the biggest issue that some of the teachers are coming to you with in terms of the platforms that you're that you're workshopping them in?
I mean, I feel like a lot of them were having difficulty with being familiar and knowing how to really work the platforms. But I think for the most part, you know, the teachers are enjoying that I'm walking them through the process and answering their questions along the way. So I think that's what's beneficial in the sense that if something occurs, we address it on the spot, right? Um, so a lot of teachers were not familiar with Google Classroom, especially in the lower grades. They mostly did Class Dojo, so learning that was really great, and how to, you know, doing step by step, I think really helped teachers.
Great. When are these webinars? What days and what times?
Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 10 to 12. So we have about 2 more weeks left where teachers can hop on for the live workshops or join the Google Classroom and actually watch the videos that are on there. I have also posted some activities that teachers can use in their classroom as well, especially for the beginning of the school year. Hop on.
All right. Yeah, all of those webinars that we just spoke about are going to be available on our NTU website as well as YouTube. For those that are not able to participate live. Lines in the lanes. We don't know if there's going to be if the students are going to be transitioning, or we're going to have the students stable in one environment and have the teachers, the different subject teachers, come to them. That's still being worked out. I teach 35 students. It's not going to happen. CDC guidelines. We've already published these. 10 kids in a class. 10. Yes. Fall sports. Don't know. See if I can go back to that question. I'm late, but will the kids' parents wanting to go into school live be picked or voluntary? That will be group 3. Group 1 of students and staff will be identified by the district as you ain't coming into this building. Group 2 will be self-identified. For whatever reason, I can't come into that building. Or group 3, those that are willing and able to return. So yeah, that decision will be voluntary. How many students in a preschool classroom? Once again, 10 or less. There needs to be ways to follow the 6-apart rule while sitting in a classroom. There is. It's called measuring tape. That's what's going to be happening that first week. There's going to be a lot of desks disappearing. Shut down for how long? If a school is determined to be shut down by the health by school officials, the health department of the district, or the city health department, or the state health department, it's shut down immediately the second they say it is, and it's not reopened again until they say it's safe to reopen. We're subject to science, and we don't live in one of those southern states. We have departments of health that we listen to. We have state department of health, and we have our own common sense. But it's going to be there. It's going to be the rule number 1. Do parents get paid for teaching their kids at home? No. Could parents get tutoring for children? Yes. We're working on, we began that back in March, April, and May. In English and in Spanish, we sent out, webinars and tutorials on how to do Zoom, how to do WebEx, how to do Classroom, etc. But we'll be releasing that all over again. New York City is doing 3 days in school and 2 days virtual. Is that possible for Newark to do the same? New York City has 1 million students. We have less than 38,000. So we really can't be doing apples and oranges, but we may be doing, a virtual, a couple of days virtual, a couple of days live. We really have to see what the numbers look like as we get closer to September. Remember, 2 weeks ago, everybody was having a party. Oh, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, we flattened the curve. The curve is now going down. And then what happens? In these other states that they shut down late, if they shut down at all, they reopened early. They started with their rodeos and their cookouts and everything, tiki bars down in Long Branch, as if nothing had happened. And all of a sudden, boom, the numbers change and half the country is a hot spot. So, like I said right here, everything starts and ends with if it's safe to do so. If it's safe to do so, we may be doing alternating schedules just like New York. Okay, someone keeps posting high school transitions. How will temperature taking work for all students and faculty? What time will school actually begin? At 13th Avenue and 1st Avenue, it's starting at around 9 a.m. What will we need to be provided for parents who have kids that are out of district? If they're out of district, they're probably in that busing situation, and all the busing kids are going to be staying home. All bused kids will be virtual. Could some workshops be done for parents? Yes. The Newark Teachers Union will be sharing our webinars with parents. Hopefully we'll be able to do it in Spanish as well as in Portuguese. When that will begin, I can't promise. Are teachers able to request virtual only for health reasons? Yes. Are we returning as plans, or will the year start virtually? Jimmy, we don't know. All night long, texting back and forth with the Department of Education and the governor's office. The problem is we have 600 school districts in the state. Some of them are not prepared at all because they haven't done jack. Some of them, like Newark, are more prepared because we've had since March, we've had a reopening committee. Thanks to the Newark Teachers Union, we did 2 test sites, pilot sites at 1st Avenue and 13th Avenue. So we know what the data looks like. We know how long it takes for kids to come into classroom. We know that the lines, the lanes, the arrows work. Staff are following them. And plus, we have video. So, we're seeing the motions in the building. That's why we were able to identify and squash the incident that happened on the first day at 1st Avenue, which proved that the protocols that we have in place worked. Is there a plan for RCI teachers that work in small groups? Yes, we've asked child study teams to identify locations in their building. One of them has already asked, and their principal has complied. They're going to get a tent. And what else did they ask for? They needed a tent, a wireless printer, and a hotspot, so that they don't have to go in and out of the building, print out the report or email whatever is involved with that. What is the Google Classroom code? I don't know it off the top of my head. I think Miss Pereira has it. She might type it in here. I'm going to give her a second to look that up, and then we'll put her on. Okay. Some of your questions are being answered by my man Mike Malaro, who's head of information and technology here. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Miss Pereira. The classroom code is, write this down, people. I lost it. I lost it on the thing. Are students using locker rooms for phys ed? Highly unlikely unless they have a single locker. This is John's locker. No one but John messes with John's locker. I have 180 students and you are saying only 10 students per class. What will happen to my other 120 if they all want to go back to school? They're not going to have that choice. Education is guaranteed to them. The method that we deliver that instruction is not. Will there be shorter class periods to accommodate all students per day, or will there be less students, way less students in the building? Trust me, you'll be able to hear an echo. When will we know definitely about school reopenings? Well, until you hear otherwise from us or the State Department of Education, schools are going to reopening September 8th for the students, September 1st for teachers and instructional staff, August 12th for the VPs and DCs, and August 3rd for principals. What happened to the personal days that they did not pay today? Send an email to Mike Malero. Our understanding is a lot of people did get paid, but if you did not get paid, send an email to Mike Malero on our Does the union have an active date in reopening criteria? Is the district providing PPE? No. Well, yeah, the active date for reopening is September 1st for teachers, September 8th. Masks for students and staff will not be provided by the district. Nor would I trust them to provide me with one. We and the students have to supply our own masks. Yes. And I've seen a lot of cute ones out there. Jojo, Sliwa, Spider-Man. One little kid over there at First Avenue, of course, is the North Ward. So you're going to have at least one kid with a Puerto Rican flag as his mask. Which I think is also cool because this we'll be able to identify them. Jose, siéntate. How does a kindergarten aide work with students and social distance? We're going to find out. Yes, the insurance pays for the testing. You know, you have to calm down. We all have to calm down. Yes, we're intelligent beings. We care about the health and safety of our loved ones. But at the same time, stressing about it, being anxious is contrary to what we're talking about, our health and safety. We use the calm is not September 1st. Between now and September 1st, a lot of things can change. A lot of information. Okay, everything we're doing, if it's safe to do so. Get involved with Peer Fit. Do some yoga. Do some meditation. Go take a walk in the local park. Or you know what, drive 30 minutes. Go to the Delaware Water Gap. Take a walk around. There's a green space. Chill, relax. Nobody's got to do anything today that's going to keep you up tonight. So all special ed kids are virtual. Not necessarily so. How many kids were involved in the pilot? Less than 50. less than 50. But with those 50, 50 kids is 50 kids, 25 in one place, 25 at the other. How long did it take for 50 kids to get inside that building? How long did it take for them to get out of that building? As you all know, it took them 2 seconds to get the hell out of that building. It took them a minute and a half to get inside the building. No, 15 students in a preschool class? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure the guidelines are strict, about 10 per class. People at First Avenue, yes, everyone's being retested. Okay, I see that the code for the classroom, the Google Classroom, is being posted a couple of times. All of this information is going to go out again, including the PowerPoints that we submitted earlier, that we spoke about earlier. The schedule is going to be sent out to you. The groups, group 1, group 2, group 3. The district's timelines for things is going out within the next week. So we're going to have a lot of stuff in writing. You got to really get, I know that we're on vacation, but it's not, and people say this all the time, and I hate saying, but you're going to hear me just say, it's not business as usual. Yes, yes, the health insurance is going to pay for the test. Depends on where you go. It'll either be free or there'll be a copay, but there shouldn't even be a copay right now for COVID testing. We're all teachers here, Diana, so there are no dumb questions. Should we start getting notes from our doctors or from the doctors of the ones we care for, or wait to see what the surveys say? I would wait to see how the district phrases it in their survey. It may just be like a drop-down window. Someone that you had already put in for a family medical leave because you're going to be pregnant, and everyone in the building knows you're pregnant. They can see you're pregnant. You're probably going to have to send something to medical services about your FMLA. When's that going to start? When's that going to finish? However, if you yourself suffer from chronic asthma and you're 60 plus years old or whatever, and your doctor says, hell no, put it in writing and submit it if and when the district asks that you submit it. But yeah, if you're one of those people that falls into group 2, self-identified, remember, self-identifying is not you saying, I don't want to go in because I just don't want to go in. Well, why don't you want to go in? Let's talk about that. Well, I take care of an 80-year-old grandmother, or I teach, I have 3 school-age kids in Irvington or Nutley, and they're all virtual. Well, that you just gave them a rationale. To be fair, we need to ensure that all these teachers opting to stay home are actually teaching if the rest of us are going to be in the buildings teaching. Nuno, absolutely. We spoke about that earlier. That's why we're doing the webinars. Everybody better be on top of their game as far as Google Classroom, WebEx, Zoom, whatever else we come up with. Because trust me, the evaluation for those people that are teaching from home is going to be it's going to be up to point. It's going to be on top. If there's going to be, well, I was in the shower, so I didn't get to my WebEx until 10 a.m. No, there's a start time. Those students are on that WebEx waiting for you. Will teachers be responsible for online and in person? Some are going to do a mix mash. We're testing that. Like I said, we're doing the 50-50, 50 live, 50 virtual at the pilot schools. We're going to see what the teachers and the principals say about how that's working out. How effective is it? What does this mean for paraprofessionals? Well, in our opinion, we're going to be needing. I remember this district did not lay off a lot of paras after March, although they were, you know, a lot of districts laid off their paras and their subs, March 14th. That was it. Is there a plan for parents who have to work during the day, but child has to have virtual school? No, that's between them and their employer. The business community better start making accommodation for some of these parents. Why no masks? If you work in a hospital, it is given. We've already answered that one, but we'll answer it again. I'm not trusting no district with my mask. I'm getting my mask that makes me feel comfortable and that I'm going to wear without hesitation. Asthmatic child, staying home. What about kids who come into the buildings without masks? No, they're not coming into these buildings without a mask. End of story. There's going to be nothing consistent about it. What's going to be consistent for a kid who consistently comes to school without a mask? He is consistently going to be refused entry. Oh, and actually, the NTU is going to be mailing. I forgot all about this. With the executive board, just had a virtual executive board meeting where we thanked Anthony Moreno and Alicia Malave for their years of service, and we welcomed Ms. Sylvia Pereira onto the executive board. And one of the first decisions that we made is that we're buying an NTU mask, which we're going to be mailing to all of you. We don't want you coming down over the summer to pick it up, so we're going to be mailing you an NTU mask. It's pretty fly. It's white. It's got the blue NTU logo a little to the side on the thing, which, our female survey told us that was the cutest one, but it's still man enough for the guys to wear. Is there a plan for parents who have to work during the day but child has virtual school? Are teachers required to wipe down room? No, every room will be disinfected by a guy in a hazmat suit with a backpack full of that disinfectant stuff. They also have those machines. I don't know if you go to Safe Smart or Safe Shop. There's like a little robot going down the aisles, spraying and taking people's temperatures. They got those for the Board of Ed schools too. If we go back into the building, will we be asked to sign a COVID waiver? We haven't seen any, but that's a COVID waiver isn't even worth the paper that it's written on. Now we can bring back home economics and have kids learn sewing. Yes, yes, and cleaning. What's being done to protect child study team? The same thing that's being done to protect everyone else in the building. CDC guidelines. Don't, you're not going to be in a situation where you have more than 10 kids at a time. You can regulate 6 feet separation between yourself and someone else. If you can't, that's why we ask the child study teams to survey themselves and survey their own buildings and their own locations. If they have to have a team meeting, where in that building can they sit down? Is there a conference room? Is there a library which is going to be closed for use? And that will be available to them. So who buys them from students? The parents buy them for the students. Well, the question of risk, why aren't we testing the teachers in the schools? Well, that's a huge expense to have medical staff on site in a building to test, one teacher a day because that's when they want to be tested or whatever. No, people have to take personal responsibility for themselves. The risk, this is going to be your life. You're going to show up to school. You're going to get temperature took, hands, feet monitored, etc. You check in. Chronos will be virtual. You stay in your lane. You go straight to room 203. That's it. You're not going to be chitter chatting with whoever's on the third or the fourth floor. At least not during the school day. You're not going to be interacting with those people. Stay in your lane. You minimize your own risk in this building. It's going to be set up as risk-free as humanly possible under the circumstances. And it's just like right now, you go to the ShopRite, or if you go to Home Depot, people have to stay in their lane. If you see an environment that's not safe, people are not wearing masks. They're doing shots off of each other and going crazy. Hey, that's not for me. That's not for you. Don't go into that environment. Don't go into that Home Depot if it's out of control. Don't go into that ShopRite if it's out of control. Don't go into that school if it's out of control. Don't go into that teacher's lounge. If once you walk into that teacher's lounge, the teachers are all up on top of each other. No one's wearing a mask. People are sharing, their sandwich or whatever. You wouldn't find me anywhere near that teacher's lounge. Personal responsibility. And hey, tell that teacher that's coming to you to talk about Jimmy, whoa, stop right there. Now we can talk. Don't come near me. What if a teacher refuses to take a COVID test? Start looking for another job. Is the district sending a survey to determine what group we fall? Yes. Actually, the NTU is helping them write that survey. So at least it's done once and it's done right. What about those of us who were on intermittent? If your intermittent medical conditions are such that you can't really handle either of the scheduling options, you might not be coming back. But if your intermittent says that and you have an alternating thing, you can't go to work on Tuesdays and Thursdays because you're getting shoulder therapy or knee replacement therapy, and you can't go to work on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you may be going in on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Don't know. When should we begin testing? 2 weeks prior to your start date. At minimum, 2 weeks. 1 week, better. The earlier the date, the closer the date to September 1st, the better. Sometime next week, you'll be getting the survey. If a student or teacher gets COVID after being in the building, does the whole school gets shut down till the health department tells us that it's okay to go back in. They do contact tracing, like they did with what happened at First Avenue. The custodian reported positive on the test because of a delayed notification from her provider, which we got straightened out. She stayed in her lane as a custodian. She never interacted with any of the students or staff. She never had to interact with the cafeteria people or the main off people. She stayed in her lane. The videos demonstrated that she stayed in her lane as a custodial worker. That was it. Okay, so contact tracing and video helped that situation and told us, told the health department that the school, after a 24-hour cleansing, was safe to go back in, and we haven't had any recurrence since. How will resource teachers who normally see 50 to 100 students a day, you ain't going to be seeing those 50 to 100 students a day. Yeah, apparently Kronos has an app or something like that, and you do it that way. But the biometric thing is wiped. You know, actually, there's going to be a wipe dispenser by the Kronos machine, so that you can wipe it. But I see people go to ATMs every day. I see people use their cards to go to ShopRite, Home Depot, Walgreens, and they're entering their PIN in a facility where they have no idea who. But there I am entering my PIN. As soon as I get in my car, I wipe my hands down. What's the NPS policy? I have children in NPS and I'm an employee. What? Well, it depends on those ages. Your kid might be in the classroom with you. Those are going to be good questions for your administrator. And everyone has to try to accommodate as best as possible in those very personal situations. We have 4,000 instructional staff in this building and 38,000 students, the overwhelming majority of which will be at home. They will not be in the schools. So how are we going to work it out in the school? That's really going to be a one-on-one. What's the situation with you and your child? What's the situation? You live in Springfield and your kids are on an AB schedule and you're teaching in Newark and you're on a everyday schedule. That's what the survey is going to be for. Student takes off mask, parent can't be reached by phone. What then? By that time, that kid's in the main office or in the nurse's office. He ain't with you and those other kids in that room. Can we wear scrubs and can we wear scrubs and sneakers easier to clean? I don't know. That'll be up to you. As long as it doesn't interfere with you providing instruction. Great question. Will there be a relaxation to the dress code? Within reason. I mean, you're still a professional. You're still a teacher. We've already advised you because of the feet disinfecting situation. Don't wear open toes or your nicest Armani sandals. What about teachers that have underlying conditions? That asked and answered. Once again, everything that we're saying here is going to be printed out and sent to you. Okay. Millions of employees have been called back to work. I can guarantee you that not all of those employers are providing masks for their employees. Yeah, you missed the part about staff with underlying conditions. There's going to be a survey. Look for it in the mail. Look for it in your email. Okay, we're going to start wrapping it up. Oh, I was on for a little bit longer than an hour. Okay, so just to wrap up, let me see. In regards to actually teaching, are we expected to ambulate around the room while checking for understanding? If you can either do that, if you can do that through a laptop or have the kid do it on the whiteboard. But yeah, that's why you and the child both have masks on. Okay, so once again, we've run over our time. We're gonna maybe do this one more time, a couple of more times before September 1st. Everything that we spoke about today will be put in writing. It's already in writing. We're going to be sending out today. We're going to be sending out the NTU update. That's got important information about the calendar, the paychecks, um, distance learning, distance teaching workshops, etc. Separate and apart from that, we're going to be doing a COVID update next week that'll have the PowerPoints and the information, the start dates. Um, it'll have the groups that we discussed. So all of that will be in there. I want to thank you for participating. And it's not September 1st yet. Enjoy the weekend. Stay safe. Do something peaceful that you enjoy doing. Do it with someone that you enjoy being with. Or take a drive to some green space, some tranquil space. Go to your happy place. Spend some time with your cat or your dog, whichever. Um, don't lose any sleep over September. In July. The Buddha says, when there's nothing you can do nothing. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to do nothing. You're going to chill. We love you. Thanks for showing up. We'll see you soon.